velvet ropes, red carpet. Where else would you get this but at Rich Frank's Family Vineyards? And that's where we are today. Come on in and check it out. I think you're gonna like it. You can go into practically any restaurant and open up a wine list and see your wine there, and it's on the tip of many people's tongues. So as small as it may be over here, you've really made a profound impact. What set you up for this?
I'll start by saying I'm really lucky because many people can't have a second career because they spend their whole life with their first career.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've been at Disney for 10 years, to find another career that's as much fun is really impossible. I just found Napa an unbelievable place to visit and then live. And my whole life, starting, if you can tell with my accent, in Brooklyn, New York, and growing up on the North Shore of Long Island and going to school in the Midwest, was always in and around large cities. When I first found Napa, which I really found because when you're working in the entertainment business, I mean, the joke is 24 hours, 7 days a week. Well, it's pretty close to that. And so if I could ever get a third day off on a weekend and I could leave LA at Thursday night and come back Sunday night, I'd have 3 days away, and I didn't want to waste one of them traveling. So I started coming to Napa and fell in love with Napa. We're sitting in a very old building. It's a National Historic Landmark. It's the third oldest winery in Napa. It was built, as close as we can tell, to 1886.
Wow.
It was constructed of sandstone from the mines around here, and originally it was sitting, it still sits on the same place, but the outside, what's now our parking lot, was where the train tracks went through. And when the train came all the way from San Francisco all the way up, it was built here so that they could make the wines and easily offload them into tankers, because in those days they shipped the wines in tanks, and it wasn't air conditioned, it wasn't cooled, it was just shipped across the country and continued to ferment, I guess, across the United States. And I consider myself unbelievably lucky to have found this place.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
From the standpoint of looking for a vineyard, did you start out intentionally vineyard shopping or winery shopping, or how did this all come about?
No, it was 1990, and real estate prices were very low then. I mean, really low. The wine business was going through a difficult time. Even people that just grew grapes couldn't sell the grapes.
Wow.
If you're going to be up here, you wanted 5 or 10 acres. And I didn't buy anything but the Winston Hill, which I now have. Somebody else bought it, and it made me very upset. About 4 months later, they called me and told me that deal had fallen through.
Wow.
We closed the deal on Winston Hill, and it's 107 acres on the hillside in Rutherford with a southeast facing vineyards. It had about 10 acres of grapes growing on them, which were being sold to Concrete at the time. And that was sort of fun to be able to say we had some grapes. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't intend to do anything. They were farmed, and the winery came and took them at the end of the year. And we did that for a few years, but got very lucky. And I really bought it because it was on the hillside. It was a 1930 Tudor house, which wasn't very large. It was just perfect and set right in the side of the hillside. And
Beautiful.
And we still live in that house. We haven't made it any bigger. It's just something pretty special to be able to sit up there. So again, a little bit of luck.
your father and mother obviously were very influential in your life,
Right.
and you found a place for them in this life.
Right.
I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about what that looks like and where the inspiration came from.
So I always wanted to do something. This is a tip of the hat to my dad. And for a number of years, I knew I wanted to make a wine and not tell him. And for a number of years, the vintages weren't so good. I decided to do it around 9, and the 10 vintage wasn't quite great, and the 11 vintage wasn't. But when the 12 vintage came, I looked at our winemaker, Todd, and I said, that's it.
This is
And we made it, and I was able to give it to him on his 98th birthday. We had the whole family together in Brentwood. We had a dinner, and we gave it to him. And it was really interesting because we didn't even have the label yet, and Robert Parker had gotten a bottle, and even before it was out, he gave it like 98 points and said it was the wine of the vintage, and my dad was 98. It was just like a magical moment. And the funny story is the next day he called me and he said, I need 8 3-packs. I said, I know you like wine, Dad, but you don't drink that much. He said, no, but I'm going for my next cycle with my doctors, and I want to give each one of them a 3-pack to thank them for keeping me alive this long.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you came up with the packaging for these? Because the packaging is really unusual.
After having been in the movie business and worrying about 400 movie posters, your mind starts to think about that when you're doing that. What we wanted to do with my dad, we wanted to sort of do a tip of the hat to the meat business he was in.
Oh.
So like this circle right here is the same kind of circle you would have when you see meat stamped.
Absolutely.
And so it says on it, Prime. One of the key things when Leslie was writing the back, we were looking for space. And originally he had said, no, I started my business with my friend Gus, who was German and couldn't go to war at the time and stayed behind. And Leslie looking for space. Now, Gus has been dead for 30 years and has no family, so nobody would have known.
Oh, yeah.
So she was saving space. He started his business in Brooklyn, and my dad said, with my friend Gus. And Leslie said, Dad, Gus isn't here anymore, and nobody will know. And he said, with my friend Gus. And it just to us spoke about someone with morals and ethics.
And honor.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Nobody had to know. He knew.
He knew.
It's never been about the money, never been about making money or not. We just love what we're doing, and the fact that we can stay here as a family winery. I mean, so many family wineries are being gobbled up now. Look, at the end of the day, our name is on the bottle. Our brand is our name. If I learned anything at Disney over 10 years, it was you can never mess with that name. If you really enjoy something, you want to tell everybody about it. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming by.
And thank you for sharing your story. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.